broke her own NCAA tournament record with those 36 points on Friday night, and she'll go up against a Georgia team that should own the paint with their size advantage.
They have huge size and they have some quickness to go along with it on the perimeter. They are a tough defensive team.
A lot of red in the building tonight, but it is the Georgia Lady Bulldogs wearing the red. Iowa State in white. Georgia starting off with the basketball.
And Iowa State in a zone, which is not a normal thing for them, trying to pack it in, take away some of the size advantage, and make Georgia have to knock down some shots. They're not a great three-point shooting team.
The Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, Lexi Donarski, takes it away. Now she sets up a three, knocks it down.
And that's a little better start than they had the other night, because they missed about 5 of those in a row to start the game. But they're packed in a 2-3 zone. As I said, Georgia only makes about 3 to 4 threes a game, among the lower numbers in the country.
Lineups brought to you by Capital One. You see the starting 5 for Georgia, led by their 2 veterans who came back. Q Morrison on the outside, Jenna Stady on the inside. And a couple of turnovers for the Lady Bulldogs in their first 2 offensive possessions.
Yeah, this is a huge contrast in styles, and that's what they did down the stretch the other night. Emily Ryan driving, drawing a big defender, finding a teammate.
Well, if anybody's going to shoot it from the outside for Georgia, it is number 3, Sarah Ashley Barker. She misses that attempt, but the contrast between these two, with Iowa State ranking 2nd in the country in terms of three-pointers made and three-point percentage, Georgia is 335th. Just not really a big part of their game.
And right there, that's a key for Iowa State. Don't give another second shot. They gave up 1 already, but that's a great block out of the zone, which is sometimes hard to do.
Here's your starting 5 for Iowa State. One of the younger teams really in this tournament. A couple of sophomores playing some big roles in Emily Ryan and Lexi Donarski. Ashley Jones, their 2nd team All-American this year. Another turnover. Boy, Georgia loves to turn teams over, but right now they're just having trouble keeping it.
I'm not sure how much they expected the zone, and all of a sudden there's 5 defenders basically standing in the paint against them.
Well, you looked it up earlier. What was it, 18% of the defensive possessions this year that Iowa State has played in zone? Not many.
Not many.
Good follow there by Ryan, the sophomore point guard. Makes it a 7-0 start for Iowa State.
I mean, you could see, other than when Barker has the ball, there's not an Iowa State defender outside guarding the three-point line at all. They are in the elbows, they are in the paint.
Here is Stady. Turnaround, no good. Cyclones missed their first 9 three-point attempts and wound up with a double-digit deficit against UT Arlington on Friday. Jones drives. Q Morrison leads everybody down the floor. You have to get back in transition against Georgia, but she can't finish. Ryan drives, reverse!
Well, when you're driving against size, use your quickness and use the rim as a protector to get to the other side.
Think the crowd likes this start by their Cyclones?
Well, they were nervous the other night, but they're not nervous after this. Emily Ryan in transition, sees only a post player between her and the rim, decides to attack, crossover under the basket, use the rim as protection, and another bucket for Iowa State.
9-0 start for Iowa State. What was Joni Taylor talking about in that timeout?
Well, I'm sure A, calm down, but B, they weren't ready for the zone. Not that they weren't ready, but like, take your time, you know, get yourself into situations where you feel comfortable with your shot. They've gotten it inside a couple times, but just a little bit more pressure than they're used to in the paint.
8 on the shot clock. Michaela Coombs with the drive. Still no offensive rebound. Gave Barker another look at it, but Georgia still empty.
And a good job by Iowa State to not foul on that offensive rebound. The tendency is somebody gets that, you go and reach.
See Beatriz Jordan, number 25, has come into the game. She and Kane really alternate there in that post position for the Cyclones. Out of bounds, 7 on the shot clock as Ryan trying to find the All-American Ashley Jones.
This is another thing that Iowa State spent a lot of time on against Georgia's zone. on the baseline out of bounds.
Jones will take the shot. That's why she does it. Her first points of the game.
And there again, she's in the mid-range that time. She didn't try to get all the way deep. She settled for, took what the defense gave her because she can.
One of the top scorers in Big 12 history, #1 in Iowa State history. And you wonder, will Georgia have to make some from the outside just to open up that zone a little bit?
I think they absolutely have to. And, you know, they've counted on Barker to be one of those people, and she's already missed too. Ryan, I think, stepped on the sideline there.
That'll give the ball back to Georgia, and the Lady Bulldogs certainly have struggled with turnovers in their first 4 possessions. Missed their first 4 field goals, had 3 turnovers. Bill Fenley on the sideline for Iowa State. Longtime head coach in his 27th season. Loves this group. Trying to get them back to the Sweet 16. Somewhere they haven't been since 2010. Offensive rebound.
Bad job of boxing out on the weak side. That was one of the concerns of them playing the zone, is can we go rebound on the weak side?
First points of the game for Georgia. It comes from their first team all SEC center, Stady, who averages 15 points per game. Ryan working on one of the SEC's best defensively, and Morrison kicks it out. Jones, also a terrific rebounder. Ranks top 5 all time in that category. Couldn't get it. Morrison takes and makes from 3.
That'll give them some confidence. She doesn't shoot a ton of them, but her percentage has started to creep up a little bit. And that'll probably relax her a little bit too.
Yeah, finishing the regular season, she actually had one of the best percentages on the team. Just about 34% from 3. Jones picked up a dribble out to Ryan, who had a monster 4th quarter in the win against UT Arlington.
They just feed off each other. You know, we talked to them this morning, and they just say they just have this chemistry amongst the starting group. They know where each other's going to be on the court.
Turn around, and there's a couple more points. Jordan Isaacson off the bench.
Well, if they can get one of their post players scoring in the middle of the zone, that'll take a little pressure off too.
Jones tried to go down low for Jordal. So Georgia finally getting in the scoring column. They've made their last 3, but Iowa State still up 7. In case you missed the beginning of this game, Iowa State started out 11-0. Georgia missing their first 4 shots and turning the ball over 3 times. And there was a deflection off of Georgia on the last play, so Iowa State will get the ball. This crowd has double reasons to cheer, in case you're wondering. They're also watching the Iowa State men's game up on the big screen during timeouts. So 10 on the shot clock for Donarski, and now Ryan in Iowa State. 5. Shot fake from Maggie Espin-Miller-McGraw. Inside to Kane. Left hand, no.
Iowa State might have had a better shot on the perimeter instead of trying to fight the shot clock at the end. Look how far under Iowa State's defenders go.
They force Stady
Another
into
turnover
the
in the paint. Yep.
Stady, a 6th-year senior, 6'4" grad student from Cumming, Georgia, actually started her career at Maryland and then transferred and spent the last 4 years at Georgia. Both she and Q Morrison deciding to come back this year. Ryan and the Cyclones. Now this looks like Iowa State basketball a little more than the way they started on
And
Friday.
how many times did we say, Joni Taylor today, say, do not go under on a screen?
Oh,
well, they had confusion. They backed up, and Emily Ryan was just wide open.
Morrison open for a 3 of her own. Off the front of the rim, it's a foul against Georgia.
Well, here's the pick and roll coverage. The guard in the post, Jenna Stady backs up, and the guard gets hung up. Emily Ryan says, thank you. I need that space.
Well, we asked Emily Ryan, I said, do your eyes just get big anytime you see a defender go under the screen? And she said, hey, that's just what we're taught. We practice it all the time. They get that opening, they're going to take it.
She's a very composed young point guard. And she told us, you know, the biggest thing for her coming into college was learning the speed and the pace of the game.
Too bad she doesn't talk more.
Yeah. Here we go, Gold.
Good look up the floor for Jordan. If you've ever been around Iowa State, by the way, especially at a practice, you will hear Emily Ryan. I think I heard her say, here we go, 27 times in the span of 2 minutes today at shoot-around.
She's just got a bounce to her the minute she walks in the gym. Loves to play, has a smile on her face. So if you're wondering why Iowa State doesn't have anybody else on the free throw line, we asked Coach Svenley about that today. He said basically it's a good rest period, he said, for them. They start a lot of people. He said we're an 82% free throw shooting team. We don't get offensive rebounds anyway, so might as well get back and not give up any transition buckets and get a little rest.
One free throw good for Jordan. The foul, by the way, was on Stady, her first. Reagan Richardson, a freshman who you really like at Georgia, number 21. Haven't yet seen the freshman Jillian Hollingshed, who made her first appearance in a month, had 15 points in 15 minutes on Friday. 8 to shoot. Barker looking for Stady. The defense there to meet her. Well, they are making her life tough, aren't they?
That was a tough break, though. That one was halfway in.
Jones has it batted away by Barker. Barker with the defensive assignment on the All-American. Got a little help.
That's exactly the game plan defense right there on Ashley Jones. As soon as she turns her back and spins, send another defender.
Barker trying to get down and scrap for the rebound. Can't get it. Under a minute to play in our first quarter. Georgia 3-0 all-time against Iowa State. All 3 of those meetings coming in the NCAA tournament. Jones open for 3. Count it!
That's a great extra pass by Dew. A kick out to her. She probably had a decent shot. Got her team a better shot.
Iowa State 4 of 5 from 3. They were 0 of 5 in the first quarter on Friday from downtown. And the scoreline tells you the difference. Another walk from Stady. Frustrating start.
They've sped her up a little bit in the paint. She's trying so hard. She knows she's got a smaller defender on her. She just wants to turn and shoot it, and you get rushed a little bit trying to do that.
She'll head to the bench for the last couple seconds of this first quarter. Biggest lead of the game. It's a 7-0 Cyclone run. Ryan, why not do it yourself? What a first quarter for the sophomore. 12 points and a 23-7 Iowa State lead.
You could not script this any better for Iowa State.
From the point guard, Emily Ryan.
I mean, she's done it in every phase. She's gotten assists to find teammates or create the hockey assist. She's made her own shots. She's made threes. She's made layups. She's just controlled the pace of the game.
Georgia has changed some personnel a little bit up here. Jillian Hollingshed, number 53, the 6'4" freshman, in on the inside. Mallory Bates as Jones drives against Chloe Chapman. So, Georgia, where do their adjustments begin?
Well, the first thing she did is pulled all her starters.
Barker.
Yeah, and just, you know, see if we can find somebody else that can make a play.
Donarski hit a 3 earlier in the game, the sophomore out of La Crosse, Wisconsin.
You know, I think you're trying to mix it up. She brought Hollingshead in, who had a good game the other night. See if she can get jump start the offense inside. Stady's been sped up a little bit. Give Stady a chance to kind of just get a breather and refocus. And there's a big shot there.
That's the freshman Reagan Richardson. Her first points of the game, hits a 3.
I think she's going to be a terrific player. They're really high on her. Watching her practice all this week, she's been really, really good for them.
Kane. Well, Iowa State has gotten off to this great start with just 5 points from Ashley Jones, who's coming off a season-high 36, an Iowa State NCAA tournament record in the last game. Think about the big three when you think about Iowa State with Jones, Donarski, and Ryan, and Bill Fenley saying you probably would need some more contributions. Those three scored 70 of their 78 points on Friday. Dew trying to beat the shot clock. It's bailed out with the foul.
Terrible for Georgia. They played a great possession defensively, and with 1 or 2 seconds on the shot clock, there's a foul. Great defense. Force the ball in the backcourt, have a great tough shot, and then land going through the body, the arm and the body.
Second personal on Reagan Richardson. That puts Naimir Dew, the 6'2 sophomore transfer from Butler, on the free throw line. She's been in the starting lineup for the last 4 games, has averaged 7 points per game in those starts. Iowa State, one of the best free throw shooting teams in the country as well, though they are coming off a season low in that category. Just 15 of 26 from the line against UT Arlington. Very surprising when they normally hit about 82-83% for the season.
Well, now we got another shot clock. I think we've had that a couple times the other night. It just doesn't start for some reason.
So our officials will go over to get that sorted out. Brian Hall, Angelica Suffren, Maggie Tiemann, our officiating crew this evening. And that allows another Jones to come on the floor. Aubrey Jones, number 20, sophomore from Iowa
Who might
State.
actually be the better shooter in the family.
Hey, younger sister of Ashley. That's saying a lot. Certainly a basketball-playing family. Bates. And you can just see the size of this lineup for Georgia on the floor.
Great repass.
Donarski. Offensive rebound. Jordow to Jones. Tough to get through those two. She gets it back, and there is a foul.
If she had been able to turn and look out, they had wide open threes on her side of the floor, but she just got sandwiched in the massive Georgia players is in the lane. Great pass, but there's a lot of bodies there. And then the foul.
I believe the foul was called on Barker, and now there's an offensive foul.
Well, Jordow didn't complain, but those are tough calls.
Bates. It is just an unlucky roll for Georgia right now. They've gotten some decent looks, but just have not gotten any help with the rim. Hilton working its magic for the Cyclones on both ends of the floor.
That was really good defense by Georgia, just unfortunate not coming up with the ball.
Ryan back out to Donarski. That's her second three.
And if you notice, they can miss a couple in a row. It doesn't matter. Donarski missed her first couple. She's going to keep shooting.
The light, very green.
A little bit of man defense here.
Chapman takes it herself and tries to cut into this lead for Iowa State, which was its biggest of the night. Both the Iowa State men and women in action in the NCAA tournament tonight. The men just going final, beating Wisconsin. 54-49, the final in that one. Now the women trying to book their ticket to the Sweet 16. Jones coming over.
Another good defensive possession other than the rebound by Georgia.
Richardson well off, but it was touched by Ashley Jones, so that'll keep it under the basket for the Lady Bulldogs.
Georgia bringing back some of their starters now. See if they can be a little more composed in this next couple minutes.
Stady Coombs back on the floor for Georgia. Stady gets it in the corner. Short. Georgia is 5 for 22 to start this game. Georgia starting to pick it up on the defensive end, though, as Dew has an open look at three. Just as I say that, they're all shooters. You can't leave them.
Joni Taylor not happy with the defense. She has kept telling her team, you cannot overhelp and leave three-point shooters on the perimeter. And this time they leave Dew on the perimeter, and they pay for it. Nice kick out by Ryan. Wide open three. She knocks it down.
Kelsey, thank you so much. I know Monica's loving those threes going down, and so is this crowd at Hill Coliseum in Ames, Iowa.
Well, Iowa State back in the 2-3 zone again. Just kind of shaded a little bit toward Barker's side.
Chapman has provided a bit of a spark since coming on the floor. Out to Barker.
That was a tough miss.
Well, Georgia has made a couple of threes. They only average a little over 3 made threes per game. It is just not a part of what they usually do offensively. Jones being hounded by Barker. I mean, this is where you can see Georgia start to pick up some momentum, right? This is where they find their identity on the defensive side of the ball.
You just need to cash it in the other, and they could use some defensive stops where they can get out and run a little bit.
Ryan did manage to get the shot off, but no points that possession. Now we've seen very little of that. Georgia being able to get out in transition. They love to play with some pace.
Well, the other thing Georgia's done is they've gone to a 4-guard lineup too, trying to get another scorer on the floor.
And they did start that way throughout some of their last few games of the season. Stady, the one with those 4 guards, makes it count.
And that's what she's good at, that little turnaround jump shot. And she knows she can shoot it over most defenders, and she slowed herself down. Early in the game, she was rushing that shot. Much better patience.
Good ball movement by the Cyclones as Donarski is fouled.
That's a set play. Anytime they send a cutter over the top and they're played on the top side, they hit the high post and go back door.
Kayla Coombs committing the foul. And Donarski on the free throw line. The NCAA Men's Basketball Championship first round continues tonight on CBS, TBS, TNT, and True TV. For more information on tournament game times and listings, go to ncaa.com. So the Iowa State men just getting their ticket punch to the Sweet 16. If Iowa State on the women's side can do it, it will be the first time since 2000 that both Cyclone basketball teams make their way to the Sweet 16. Coombs in the corner, and the rebound goes to Iowa State.
Izzy Zingaro, first time she's played in the tournament this year.
And number 15, the 6'4" redshirt freshman out of Ontario on the floor.
Have her in, try to match up with Stady. Size on size.
Here she is. Stady had the advantage all along and knew it. One of the best shot blockers to ever play at Georgia. Coombs. The offensive woes continue on this end for the Lady Bulldogs. Donarski, wide open.
If you get out and run, Emily Ryan will find you. If I'm a wing player with point guards like that, I'm going to sprint every single time to try to get an open look at the three.
Well, Emily Ryan, a sophomore, now 1 assist away from the single-season record at Iowa State. This is a team that has already set several records, most three-pointers made in a season. They have tied for the most wins in a season with 27. Donarski using the shot fake inside for Jones. Speaking of shot fake, 3 Lady Bulldogs flying, and then Stady says, don't bring that in here.
Yeah, You got to learn that you can't turn and put the ball right in front of Stady. She's long, she's tall. You got to go around Stady. You know, nice little pass inside. Another pass, nice pass here. But then length on length, you're not going to get away with that.
Well, Stady 5th all-time at Georgia in blocks.
I think we're in a box and one now here on this possession.
Stady, elbow.
They had Donarski in a box and one on Q Morrison that possession.
Q Morrison, number 23 for Georgia, really the spark plug that makes things go for this Georgia team. And you can see Iowa State just has not let her get loose at all. Ryan into the lane, and then Jordan Isaacs handles it.
That's pretty good defense without fouling on that one. Stayed straight up. She must have blood on her.
And Ryan heading over the bench to get cleaned up, taped up. 11 seconds on the shot clock for Iowa State once she and they are ready to go.
That must have come from a normally Emily Ryan floor burn.
Asked her earlier today to give me a word, gave her a little quiz for each of her teammates. And for herself, she said, leader. At least I hope so. And I think most around her would agree that is accurate.
Yep, I mean, they saw that from her in high school, in the recruiting process. It's one of the biggest reasons, not one of the biggest reasons, but a big reason they wanted her. Obviously, her skills are the top reason.
Emily out of Kansas.
You know, point guards, great ones are hard to find, and she could end up being the best that ever played here.
Donarski and Ryan both so critical to this team's success in their sophomore year. Out to Espen Miller-McGraw. Chapman, former two-sport athlete at Georgia, gave up soccer to focus on basketball, and Jones takes it and is fouled.
Yeah, you don't want to turn it over or make a mistake and then compound it by getting your team in foul trouble. Although I think that's their first team foul for the quarter. This has been a pretty cleanly played game. There haven't been a lot of whistles for fouls.
Well, it actually is the 4th team foul against Georgia, believe it or not. Just the first against Iowa State.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong board.
Yes, I agree with you, though.
Yep.
That both teams have done a good job with that. Iowa State has had trouble getting over Stady when they've gone inside.
When you play against Stady, you need to go by Stady, like this kind of a situation here.
Ryan. Donarski with Morrison. Got herself some space. Not easy to do against Q Morrison, 3-time All-SEC defensive team player. Stady stepping into the shot. It's good.
She's got a nice stroke. Nice to have it's a nice thing to have a post player who can step out and do that, especially because of all the zone possessions they've seen today.
6 points in the game for Stady, and there is a foul on the play as Ryan goes down. You can see why she winds up getting.
Well, now I'll go back to my original point when I wasn't sure about the fouls. So this is Stady coming down in transition. Nice find by Coombs, stepping into an open jump shot. The foul situation here, though. You know, Chapman's foul at the other end got him to the bonus, and now, you know, it's a simple free throw situation.
And Ryan just again has to have that leg looked at with some blood visible on her leg.
Now it's on her arm too. She's just got it everywhere.
And she just says, just patch me up so I can go shoot some free throws, please. Iowa State 5 for 7 at the line, and
you could see when they were taping her up there. One of their practice players, managers in the background, who had stitches over his eye because that was part of practice the other day. So they all got blood around here.
Much better start at the line for the Cyclones as well. More what they are accustomed to. They're 5 for 8, as of course I just jinxed Ryan on the miss. And for Georgia, think about what a huge part free throws were in Georgia's win over Dayton. They have yet to shoot a free throw in this game. They were 21 for 30. They took 30 free throws in that win in the first round.
Different style of play tonight. You can see again how far off they're playing off of all these guards on the perimeter.
Stady goes to the other side.
Really nice move.
You think she could dominate in there if she just finds the right spot, keeps her composure.
Well, the thing is, the first 4 or 5 times she touched it down there was a double team coming. There was actually one coming there from the top, so she spun away from the double team and went baseline and used the rim to protect her going across.
Smart veteran player, close to 1,500 points in her career. She can do that too. 1 of 5 at Georgia with 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 250 blocks and counting in her career.
And she's what I call a very patient blocker. She doesn't try to swing down on everybody.
Morrison a couple of times got her hand on the basketball, couldn't quite take it away. And a travel is called against Zingaro. Final few seconds.
There's some pressure right there.
It's been a rough first half for Georgia. Chapman can't get a positive finish. It has been all Iowa State through the first 20 here in Ames. 37-18 our score. Time now for the Degree in the Studio halftime report. We'll send it to Kelsey Riggs, Monica McNutt, and Andrea Carter. This one of the best three-point shooting teams in the country, using that to their advantage in the first half. 7 of 13 from 3. Georgia has struggled to really find any kind of offense. Curious to see what type of adjustments Joni Taylor has her team make in the second half.
Well, they've got to decide what lineup is working best. They've already made a different change to start the second half.
Morgan Kane, though, gets the first points of the quarter for Iowa State. And Emily Ryan, now the new single-season assist leader for the Cyclones, 239 on the season.
And she just keeps finding people with the baseline drives and penetration.
So some of the changes you're talking about as this ball batted out of bounds, it will be a turnover, but Chloe Chapman, number 1, starting this third quarter for Georgia, as well as number 20, Jordan Isaacs, to go along with the 3 regular starters, and Barker, Stady, and Morrison.
I mean, you feel like Georgia is just kind of searching for anything that gets them going. They haven't shot a free throw. They're 2 for 10 from 3. It's just tough.
Fewest points, worst field goal percentage of a first half, and biggest deficit at halftime this season that they've had to face. Crowd thinking that ball should have stayed with Iowa State, but they'll be overruled.
She was standing on the line when she saved the ball back in.
Well, Georgia went through a rough patch in February where they admittedly said they weren't locked in, they weren't focused. We talked to Jenna Stady and Q Morrison about that earlier today. They felt they had righted the ship. They've really looked at this NCAA tournament as a fresh start.
And I don't see any of this as a focus or energy thing or anything. It's a lack of being able to shoot on the outside, and when you penetrate against the zone, you know, not turning it over, but they don't have a lot of answers right now.
Kane could get the basket, and then she and Isaacs get tangled up after the play.
I think they're calling this on Kane.
Yeah, they're pointing possession for Georgia.
Both players going to the boards. But after the shot here, she hooks her. Yeah, that's an easy foul call.
It's one of those that wouldn't be too surprised if they looked at. They don't here.
They didn't get the full clamp on that one.
So Kane will go to the bench. 3, up and in. Boy, Georgia could sure use a few more of those.
Barker can use that too, just from a mental standpoint. See one go in.
Yeah, she was 0 for 5 overall in the first half, 0 for 4 from 3.
Great overplay defense there, right by Georgia.
Lexi Donarski, Big 12 all first team selection this year. Steps it back, left it short.
Good box outs by Georgia. The guards helping on the long rebounds.
Barker with the ball in her hands. She may have struggled offensively that first half, but she has been working hard against Iowa State's All-American Ashley Jones on this end. The ball tapped away. Barker gets it back.
Got 10 on the shot clock.
Joni Taylor telling Chloe Chapman just that. Get a move on. Get the ball right where you found it. Stady, 10 points now.
Well, we need to remember also, for Iowa State's hot start, they did not have a great second quarter. It's just that Georgia couldn't make up the difference. Iowa State wasn't making shots, and they're feeling Georgia's pressure right now.
Yeah, Iowa State just 18% from the floor in the second quarter, to your point, wanting to get back on track. That'll do.
And Ashley Jones has not been a huge factor as far as scoring, but she's done a lot of other things. Now, if she starts making shots along with the other ones that are, it's tough.
Stady just lost it out of bounds, smacks the floor in frustration.
Well, she likes to turn middle. So here's Jones, has a defender on her, steps back, creates enough space to get it off, and she's got length on the defender to get it off as well. On that last play, Stady, who likes to turn middle, is trying to get away from the double teams, and that time went too quickly when she spun baseline. The ball just got away from her.
10th turnover of the game by the Lady Bulldogs. Jones. Barker tapped it away. Morrison. Is there a chance for points in transition for Georgia? How about this way? Donarski. Boy, she can move. Needs a little help. Kane brings it.
Great effort by Kane to run the floor and clean up the mess, and then gets a foul on top of it. That's just a great hustle play. Don't assume your teammate's going to make it. She's about the 3rd or 4th Iowa State player down the floor, but here she comes. Nobody there to block her out. She wins the race down the floor.
And gets rewarded for 2 points and the free throw. Isaacs committing the foul.
And that gets Iowa State's cushion back.
Yeah, 5 points in this quarter for Morgan Kane. Redshirt junior out of Utah. Don't always talk a lot about the post players for Iowa State, but perhaps they have a bigger role to play tonight. There's a lot of contact, and it's Isaacs and Kane again. And I believe it's going against Isaacs again. That'll be her second in the last couple of not even minutes here.
And we got Hollingshead in for Stady right now, and I think Joni Taylor talking to her on the sidelines, just saying, hey, relax, calm down, it'll come back to you, you're a good player. You know, trust your ability.
Joni Taylor just so well respected by her own team and also by others around the country, Bill Fenley included, trying to talk to her senior.
Well, this is a tangle up, and I know Q Morrison's trying to be aggressive defensively, but she feels like she got held before she got reacted.
First foul on Morrison. This is a heck of a defensive battle right here. And Q Morrison, you think she knew what she was doing right there?
Yes, she did. She baited Donarski into that one, you know, and if you sell it right, you get the call. Aggressive pressure defense, the shoulder. Donarski leads with the shoulder and the forearm. That's a good call.
Can the defense jumpstart the offense for Georgia? Morrison looking inside for Hollingshed. She had 15 points in 15 minutes, most by a Georgia freshman in NCAA tournament games in 2013 on Friday.
It's getting a little bit chippy right now, too. It's physical on the boards. We've had, a couple scrums going after the loose ball on the boards.
Barker.
Not a lot of answers right there.
Morrison.
That's a big shot.
Hits her second three of the night, 6 points in the game.
And you say, hey, that's a big shot, and then you look up and it's still a 19-point deficit. They're going to have a few of those big shots pretty quickly.
That's why for Georgia, you can't look up, right? Just one at a time, keep chipping away. That's exactly what Iowa State said they did on Friday when they were down 12 points against UT Arlington in the first half. That ball blocked out of bounds, 45-26. Iowa State comfortably in front. Is going to their first ever Sweet 16, and they will take on our winner.
To Coach Jim Flannery. He's been waiting to get to the Sweet 16, has had a lot of great teams. Now they're there.
And they've played an awful lot historically, as you see there, against Iowa State, of the last meeting coming in 2008, so it's been a little while. 8 double-digit seed upsets in this NCAA tournament already. Just incredible.
I think Georgia's done a pretty good job since the end of the first quarter of making Iowa State play against the shot clock. They've had a lot of long possessions.
Donarski out on the break, little out of control. Q Morrison with a frustrated look from the floor up to the official as she gets whistled for the foul, her second.
Well, you get the steal on the one end, and now Donarski changes directions, and Q Morrison still moving sideways just a little bit.
So Lexi Donarski on the free throw line. Sophomore hit 3 threes in the first half and has been good at the line as well. Yeah, I think you had pointed out during that last timeout, actually was even points-wise in this quarter. That's another turnover by Georgia. There are some little things they have been doing better that are getting lost with the scoreline. And
the problem is you can do all those things better, but you got to cut into the lead. Playing even doesn't do you any good right now. You got to get stops and scores. Stops and scores, you need consecutive ones.
Ryan Morrison once again trying to step up to take the charge.
That was a good defensive play. She anticipated Ryan turning the corner and gets herself there. She sees it coming.
Ooh, and she is limping a little bit as she came up out of that. I mean, what a warrior, Q Morrison, the grad student in her 5th year at Georgia. If to go all the way back to 2017-18, she was a member of the SEC All-Freshman team. She has had some injuries throughout her career. They need to be careful with her. They know it. So she'll have to go to the bench here after drawing that offensive foul from Ryan.
Well, she plays so hard every night defensively.
Iowa State defense getting another turnover.
I know a couple people on the Georgia bench complained, but the one sitting right in front of it did not.
That tells you something, doesn't it?
Yep.
And it was the right call. And 13 turnovers, 3 straight in the last 3 possessions for the Lady Bulldogs.
This is really good defense a lot here by Georgia.
Well, that is, when you talk to Georgia, that's where it all starts. Every single one of them, from Joni Taylor down, will tell you it starts with their defense. But to your point, they've got to find a little more offense here tonight if they want to go to the Sweet 16, a place that they have been 20 times in the storied history of that program.
We got 7 seconds on the shot clock. Nice cut.
Ashley Jones showing off some of her moves. 10 points in the game now for Jones. Biggest lead for Iowa State.
And we got Iowa State back in the box and one here on Barker.
Chapman. Barker goes head over heels off the court, out of bounds, trying to save it, but puts it in the hands of Iowa State. Donarski. How about that? Barker hustles all the way back. She winds up being the one to get the rebound. Now looking for Hollingshed. The freshman can't go that way through the hoop.
He had no angles with her head right under the rim.
Ashley Jones typically does so much for this Iowa State team. A rare air ball from three. She has carried some of the load, but not as much as she may typically do, at least so far.
Well, she knew facing Georgia, as good a defensive team as they are, that they were going to come out and really get on her tonight. They were going to show help. She wasn't going to get away with the back down spin dribble that she did probably 20 times the other night against UTA, that they were going to be ready for it. And so she was going to have to score different ways tonight.
Morrison back on the floor for Georgia. You know, she's not going to want to sit for long. #1 all-time in terms of games played in Georgia Lady Bulldog history. Here is Richardson. Gets her own rebound. Richardson again. Got it.
Good play. Way to stay with it. She can penetrate. Had a nice little shot that didn't go in. Stayed with it. Got the offensive rebound.
Morrison and Ryan. Good matchup there. Jones goes to the floor. Ryan trying to keep her dribble alive. Picks up undoubtedly a few more floor burns right in front of her bench. Gets up, gets it back. That would have been...
If that had gone in.
This place would have gone nuts. They've gotten a little quiet here. They're settled in, getting a little comfortable in the seats.
Well, they get excited at all these threes, and there haven't been many made in this half.
It's been more of a grinded out quarter so far for Iowa State. Georgia can do that to you. Jones finally has a little breathing room or not. Isaac says,
Well, Georgia's going to keep playing defense. It's just a matter whether they're ever going to score. Way to stay with it. That's a nice block.
Well, Georgia third in the country in blocks per game. They average over 6 per contest.
That ball might have actually gone off Jones after the block.
And they've got 10 in the game. Now they get a chance to run. Morrison blocked on this end. Donarski got it. Then there's a tie-up as Georgia quickly getting their hands back on the basketball.
We might be headed for a record on tie-ups. Great transition, but a nice block. Donarski, Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12, shows why.
You know, she's just 6 feet tall. Not a very imposing presence to look at her, but I mean, there's a reason when you earn Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year honor, something no player in Iowa State history has ever done before.
Well, and Emily Ryan told us today that she makes everybody else play defense harder because of how hard she plays.
Going to be a foul against Iowa State as Georgia was trying to inbound the basketball.
Dew getting a little bit frustrated right now. She's going to have to keep her composure here.
No go on the inbounds.
She got injured on the block shot.
Yeah, Naimir Dew over in front of the bench with her hands in front of her face. May have a
She's bleeding again. She got hit the other day in practice, and might be the same spot.
Well, this looks like her nose.
She goes up for the block. Oh, on the follow through, gets her. Very unintentional. But I'm sure we're going to get a replay look at it too.
It's the arm of Mallory Bates coming down. I think you would say a very natural motion as she had gone up for the shot, but Dew taking the worst of it. So she will have to go get looked at, and our officials are
previous plays under further review for
looking back at the video to make sure
unobserved foul.
There was nothing there. No foul called on the play. So while they take a look, we'll go to break. We'll catch you up on what they find out when we come back. So when we went to break, this was the play they were going back and taking a look at. We saw Naidu defending there, watch the arm of Mallory Bates come down. Our officials just going to make sure that there was no intentional foul to be called on the play, and they did deem that it was just incidental contact, as we thought.
That's a natural rebounding motion.
So now the team's in a timeout after the review was over. The winner of this game will move on to Greensboro to take on the 10 seed Creighton. One of the upsets in this upset special here in the NCAA Women's Championship this year, taking down Iowa. So no Iowa State to be had in the Sweet 16, although Iowa State certainly could still get there and represent.
So I did
well, one of the stories for Iowa State when you talk about the Cyclones is Ashley Jones and her family history of playing some basketball.
We'd play family games on Sunday nights in our backyard, so it just became like family time for us. And then, I mean, we were really competitive, so our one-on-one games, usually someone has ended up getting hurt or crying. Someone would fall down, get a bloody knee or something, but it was a lot of fun. Like, you always had someone to compete against, someone to kind of push you, and I think that's what kind of made us all very successful.
5 girls in the family, all play basketball.
all very competitive.
2 of them here, you know, Ashley, younger sister Aubrey as well, who you pointed out, rumor has it, maybe the best shooter. Dad, always here.
And the rumor is that the youngest sister, who is still young sister, might end up being the best of all of them.
Well,
so I'm sure that Bill Fenley and the crew will be trying to recruit her too.
I think they do already have.
Yeah, they have a leg up.
And I think there's another
one in
sister
between.
who's on her way here.
Yep.
Still in high school. But the 5 Jones sisters, they live in Iowa City. Jonesy's Restaurant. Ashley still goes back, works there in the summertime, and say the restaurant is famous for its tenderloin and its basketball. They all know, even if it's in Iowa City, there's a lot of Iowa State fans around there because of the Jones family, as Donarski has it blocked out of bounds.
A little bit of her own medicine back at her.
Iowa State started this game on an 11-0 run, never really looked back, just, I think, shell-shocked Georgia from the get-go. Lady Bulldogs have never looked comfortable going against the zone, haven't been able to get into a groove offensively.
Well, we were just talking about in a normal game, they have one of the lowest three-point usage rates in the country, Georgia does. They only shoot about 10.5, 11 threes a game. They're already up to 13 in this game, and we have another quarter to go because the zone defense has forced them to shoot them.
Mallory Bates getting the basket on the inside. Now final seconds of our third quarter. Iowa State trying to go for their 6th ever Sweet 16 appearance. They last got there in 2010. Another block, and Georgia double-digit blocks. Morrison heaves, and they've got 10 minutes and a long way to go to get back in this one. Iowa State started strong. Can they finish strong? Final quarter coming your way from Hilton Coliseum when we come back. Games Iowa as we take a look at tonight's Capital One rewarding performance. Emily Ryan kick-starting Iowa State right from the very start
Well,
tonight.
she penetrated and found teammates several times early in the game, threw it ahead in transition, and then she gets her own 3 when the defense breaks down. I mean, she's filling up the stat sheet. She got 13 points, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. That does a lot for your team.
Set a new single-season record in assists at Iowa State, and she had 12 of her 13 points in the first quarter tonight. In the first round on Friday, she was the finisher. She had 20 points, 11 of those in the final 6 minutes, as Iowa State really had to fight to pull away from UT Arlington to get here.
Well, Iowa State back in the box and 1 right now.
Georgia misses the first shot. That's Coombs. She has no points in the game. And no Sarah Ashley Barker at the moment either for Georgia. We saw her during that break between the quarters actually walking off with a bag of ice. So not entirely sure what happened to her, but she is not on the floor or on the bench at the moment.
Well, the other thing that Georgia has done a little bit better is that they've stayed home on shooters right now. They've had people drive, but they haven't left shooters open on the perimeter for Ryan to find when she drives.
Morrison had that shot blocked by Ryan. Kane, Dinarski looking for runners. Dinarski, easy drive for two.
Just a slight hesitation at the top of the key. Defense froze for a count, and she turns the corner.
Cyclones had missed their last 7 before that basket from Dinarski.
Yeah, it's not been a shooting clinic since the first quarter. I mean, both teams have played really, really good defense since then.
You said it in the first round. Iowa State almost sneaky good with their defense, and Jones couldn't quite get to that legal guarding position in time. Does get called for the blocking foul.
And they really didn't want to close out that hard on Q Morrison. They wanted her to have to pull up and shoot a jump shot. And that time Jones gets caught going full speed at Morrison while she's coming at the basket. Very good call. Notice how many times I've said good call by the officials. I hope they frame that somewhere.
well, they certainly noticed when you said that they rudely interrupted you the other night. They came over and had a talk with you about that. With a smile on their faces, by the way.
Nice
Inside.
pass.
And the Cyclones keep rolling.
That gets Stady back up off the bench.
You talk about teams coming in, especially in a tournament, and you hear coaches a lot say you're going to have to take a punch. You know you're going to have to take the other team's first punch. And Georgia took it tonight and just never has been able to recover.
Yeah, I mean, when you go out and recruit, you're hoping when you get good athletes that they are good shooters and become good shooters, but Georgia needs another player to step up as a perimeter shooter.
Dinarski is fouled by Coombs.
They really have tried to open up one side of the floor for Dinarski or Ryan to drive it and make it tough for the help defense to come. Put a strong side shooter in the corner and make the post player for Georgia on defense have to make a decision. Am I helping on the drive or am I staying with mine?
Jenna Stady back on the floor for Georgia. And you wonder, player whose career we know is coming to an end, if you can keep those emotions out of your head. We talked to her earlier and she said she was ready for the game, but maybe just keep your eyes from looking at that score clock and the time and the score.
Yeah, the time and score is tough
basket.
right now. It's working against Georgia. When you're down this much and you're offensively challenged in this game.
Look at Ryan. Emily Ryan flying in, another tie-up, just refusing to allow that pass to get into Stady.
Stady's asking why it isn't a foul, but it's a pretty good hustle play. The alternate possession goes to Iowa State.
Morrison for the past 5 years has been out there leading this Georgia defense on the perimeter. Dinarski, Kane, the offensive rebound. Working on Stady, blocked. And that is block number 13 for Georgia. That ties an NCAA tournament record.
Great block out right there, too, by Isaacs.
Tanea Hilton, number 13, over to Morrison. Good. 8 points in the game for Morrison in what could be her last game in a Georgia uniform.
I think Q Morrison, if she looks back at this game, will probably wish that she had just on her own been a little bit more aggressive offensively, knowing that her teammates have not been able to make shots.
When it comes to making shots, you can count on Iowa State and Lexi Dinarski. You wondered which game would win out. And it is not as simple as Iowa State, the three-point shooting team, versus Georgia, a team that's going to come at you with defense, come at you with size. There are more layers to it than that for sure. But the three-point shooting has certainly helped Iowa State's cause
Yes,
tonight.
it has, and they get it. They've had to work to get those shots by driving it at the Georgia defense, making somebody have to help so they can free up a teammate. You're always trying to get, as offensively, a 2 versus 1 situation, and they've been able to do that enough times tonight to get good looks.
20 points in the game for Donarski, who goes inside. Zingaro. Haven't seen her in a while.
Well,
might as well make some
she got a switch finally. It wasn't Stady between her and the basket.
She took advantage.
And that's a tough position for somebody who hasn't been playing very much to come off the bench. You're kind of 10th or 11th on the team. And so all of a sudden, coach, guess what? You're playing tonight.
Well, Brian Hall made no mistake finding the foul on that play on Donarski, her second.
I think Donarski knows she was busted. She was holding on the weak side on the boards.
Hall not letting her get away with it, and good to see Ju is back on the bench at least. Remember, she went out, had taken that arm to the face as she was trying to go up for a rebound earlier. Had to go back to get looked at. Still no sign of Barker over on the Georgia bench after she went back to the locker room. Stady and a couple more for the first team All-SEC player for Georgia. 12 in the game. Iowa State having a little trouble here. Hilton just harassing Donarski defensively, but does eventually commit the foul. Iowa State has not been challenged. They're just trying to hang on, get to the Sweet 16. For UConn, plenty to watch, but we're keeping an eye on here our Greensboro region. I think that Arizona-North Carolina matchup could be really a good one tomorrow.
That'll fill out the rest of this little bracket here.
Georgia still playing hard on defense. Morrison drives and is fouled.
Georgia's always going to play hard. They just, when the game was invented, however long ago it was by Dr. Naismith, the object is to put the ball in the basket. And one team has made more of those from the outside than the other. And that's the thing. I mean, you got to make open shots. And Iowa State's done that, a great job of that, and Georgia has not.
Georgia under 30% for the game, and those were their first free throws that they took the whole game.
The zone has kept them from penetrating. It's kept them from playing at the rim.
I mean, think about how many times have we been able to see them set up their full court pressure defense. Not many. Got to make shots to do it. And now they commit the foul. Reagan Richardson, the guilty party.
I mean, when you play against Georgia, you're always going to feel their pressure. It's how clever or how good are you at making the pressure work against them.
Iowa State started the game. They were 58% overall in the first quarter, 4 of 5 from 3. So they served notice early that there were other stars around Ashley Jones who were going to add to the scoring. And she slowly but surely continues to add to her total, a dozen now.
Well, there's a really unselfish star, too. I mean, when we talked to her today, she's all about team. You know, she's got all these accolades, and people talk, you've done this, you've done that. She just wants to win. And she'll be the happiest person in the locker room that, you know, Donarski or, you know, Emily or somebody else has had a great night. Now we're using a little clock each possession.
Emily Ryan just going to back down Q Morrison a little further. Now work off the screen from Zingaro. Morrison stays right with her until the very end. Ryan did fake her out enough, get her to slip, take her shot. Stady. No roll for Stady. Complete coverage of the NCAA Women's Championship on the ESPN family of networks continues March 25th through 28th with the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Got the Final Four coming your way Friday, April 1st, and we crown a champion on Sunday, April 3rd.
Looking forward to it.
Very much.
Minneapolis.
This Iowa State team looking to make their 6th Sweet 16 appearance. They've made 2 Elite 8s in their program history. What do you think about the potential of this group to make a little further foray in the NCAA
Well, I think it's kind of interesting in their bracket. We'll see who wins that North Carolina-Arizona game tomorrow night. But, you know, the winner of this is going to play Creighton, and South Carolina gets the winner of the other one. And South Carolina is looking for some offense right now. They're really struggling. They're playing great defense, but they're having a hard time scoring.
Yeah, Miami had a bit of Georgia's problem in that game against the #1 overall seed South Carolina earlier today. The Hurricanes did a great job making things difficult for South Carolina to score. They just couldn't find enough offense of their own. Stady steps in, hits another.
Probably in retrospect, you wonder if you're Georgia, should we have played Stady at the top of the floor more at the start of the game, where she could have had a little more room. Early in the game, she was trying so hard to score inside, but she was trying to do it in a crowd.
Six to shoot. Ryan inside for Kane. Bates just thought she had it, but in the end is called for the foul. This Georgia team, one of 8
They're going to go look,
teams
I think,
to make the field, and just having a difficult performance
I think
tonight.
they're going to look to see if they got the shot. The foul occurred before or after the shot clock buzzer here.
Well, while they check that out, give us a moment to talk about 2 of the longtime members of this.
Under review for a possible shot clock violation versus foul.
So we'll get back to that when we can, but I think it's also fair. Georgia fans watching know just how much Jenna Stady and Q Morrison mean to this team, and they go back a long way, they told us. Go back to the 2016 state semifinals in Georgia. And in that game, Q Morrison's McEachern team beat Stady's West Forsyth team 81-70, although Stady, it was her final high school game, had 51 points.
51 of 70, that's a lot.
It is a foul, 2-shot foul.
And she's trying to finish strong once again, and this what would be her last game in a Georgia uniform.
The two have really learned to play well off of each other. You know, Stady knows to go where to go when Q penetrates. They play inside out. This is not the way they envision finishing their season. But they got you know, outplayed for a good part of the first half. And it's been pretty even since. But that first quarter did a lot of the damage.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that was the biggest deficit. 23-7 Iowa State in the first quarter. Everything else pretty close. 14-11 in the second, 12-12 in the third, 14-10 now in the fourth. Under 2 to play. Morrison short on her shot. Iowa State looking for its first ever win against Georgia. The Lady Bulldogs 3-0 all-time in this series history, and all 3 meetings coming in the NCAA tournament, the last in the second round in 2013.
Very patient again, just using up more clock.
Ryan certainly initiating some contact there, and Brian Hall keeping
tough.
a very close eye on the proceedings.
I'd be frustrated as a defender on that one because that's pretty good defense. Ryan got enough of a nudge to get body to body, but you could have called that one either way.
And that is the 6th team foul by Georgia. So Ryan on the free throw line. And a little insult to injury on the play as the pace of the game has slowed to a crawl here in the final minute and change. There's not much Georgia can do to change that score line overall, and Iowa State knows it.
Emily Ryan and Kane get a huge ovation from the fans. They've earned it. I'm thinking we're going to see Ashley Jones coming out pretty soon.
You would think, here you go for Donarski. Crowd letting her hear it.
They're going to let Ashley get her own ovation all by herself.
Could this be the last time Ashley Jones plays in Hilton Coliseum? She is not quite sure what's next for her. We asked her earlier today. Do you believe her when she said she didn't know, or you think she knows?
I don't think she knows necessarily. I think it's a feeling thing, maybe how far they go or what she sees. WNBA minds want to know.
And she's going to get her moment right here, and hear it from this Hilton crowd. Ames, Iowa, applauding their All-American inside Hilton Coliseum for perhaps the last time. And no player has scored more points in Iowa State history than Ashley Jones.
And a fan favorite. She's one of the best scout team players I've seen. She's got everything wired for the other team. Now she gets a chance to come in and score.
Maddie Frederick getting some points for the Cyclones. She takes a glance up at the clock. The Cyclones, knowing Greensboro, the Sweet 16 are near. Georgia runs down the floor. Mallory Bates adds 2 to the score line, but the crowd's going to let this team hear it. Try to cheer them on, carry them all the way to Greensboro, North Carolina. But they're going to have some free throws with 1 second left on the clock.
Just couldn't help herself. Hilton was just, you know, I got to try to get one more pressure here.
So the moment a bit delayed. Everyone ready to cheer. As Frederick misses the first free throw, the redshirt junior out of Tip City, Ohio. Tippecanoe High School. I hope I'm saying that right.
Sounds right.
Well, you know what else sounds right? Iowa State to the Sweet 16.
Nothing like moving on your home court. Let your fans celebrate you as you head out the door to the Sweet 16.
This group of players trying to cement their legacy. It's been since 2010 since the Cyclones have been. It's been since 2000 that the men and women from Iowa State have been there. They're both keeping their dancing shoes on.
Some of Coach Fennelly's grandkids trying to join the huddle here.
Gotta be careful. A lot of excitement out there as Georgia walks off. Disappointing end to the season for the Lady Bulldogs.
Well, I tell you, when we watch these two teams prepare, I thought we would see a little bit closer game. But what I'm impressed about is how a team came out and executed a game plan almost to perfection. You know, Coach Fennelly told us this morning that, you know, we don't play this zone very much, but we think it's our ticket to what we have to do in this game. We have to make them frustrated, shoot the ball, and that's exactly what they did. They were prepared.
Yeah, it tells you something when he says we don't practice it very much, but he still thought it was the best thing to do, and he was absolutely right about that. His team started this game 11-0, and they never looked back. We're getting Lexi Donarski, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, mic'd up, joining us now. Lexi, congratulations. Let's talk first about the defensive plan you guys had, because boy, it frustrated Georgia from the beginning.
Yeah, we know that throughout the year they rely more on inside touches than three-point shots, so we went to a zone because we've had success with the zone in the past, and we just really stayed in and got rebounds when we needed to.
You had a little bit of an offensive burst to go with it tonight. I was very impressed by your team's poise. I think you're a very good scouting report team, and you came out, followed the game plan to a T, including going to your box of one, everything else. Talk to me, like when Coach walks in, what that dynamic is like, you guys getting ready to go on the court. You guys know a team inside and out.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia's a really talented team, and we get scout that we have to watch on our own as well as at practice, and we all just really buy into our scouting report, knowing who can shoot it, who we're sagging off of, who's good offensive rebounders and things like that, so we can really do our best on defense to get stops.
You ready for the Sweet 16?
Yeah, we are.
Yeah, I know you guys are. What do you think people are going to see from this Iowa State team? They know about the three-point shooting. What else is this team about?
I think they're going to see that we have a lot of fight. We're willing to get rebounds. We're willing to play with physical teams, and that we can really shoot the ball.
Yes, you can, and you share it well. Congratulations. That was fun to watch. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
All right, Lexi, congratulations. Good luck. Her team taking on Creighton, the 10 seed in the Sweet 16 in Greensboro. But now she can go celebrate with her team. Iowa State got out in front early and never looked back. 67-44, our final score. The Cyclones going dancing in Greensboro to the Sweet 16 as we say goodnight from Ames.